It's 8 a.m. You sit down at your desk, fresh coffee in hand, and effortlessly tear through a complex spreadsheet. You're weighing variables and making precise calculations with a clear, sharp focus. By 5 p.m., that same focus is gone. You're staring at an email that should take 10 seconds to answer, but it feels insurmountable. You find yourself snapping at a coworker or abandoning a project you swore you'd finish this morning. This happens to the most disciplined professionals. A paramedic finishing a double shift might spend the final hour of a 12-hour day losing their temper with a patient. It's a moment they'll regret, but in that moment, their patience has physically run out. It raises a difficult question. Why do highly trained, intelligent people consistently make their worst choices at the end of the day? The main reason is known as decision fatigue. Your brain operates on a finite reserve of mental energy. Every time you weigh an option or exercise self-discipline, you draw from this internal tank. These evening breakdowns are a mechanical failure. When the tank is empty, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that handles complex reasoning, simply lacks the fuel to override your most basic, impulsive urges. This process is governed by executive function. It's the sophisticated skill that allows us to manage our priorities and choose long-term benefits over immediate desires, like going to the gym when we'd rather sleep in. Psychological research shows that self-control and decision-making pull from the exact same battery. If you spend your morning resisting junk food, you are literally using up the same fuel you need to make a complex choice at a board meeting. Interestingly, the act of analyzing a problem doesn't actually drain you. The metabolic hit only happens when you commit to a single course of action. It's the moment you close off other avenues that the battery level drops. We see this in the cookie torture studies. Participants forced to use their willpower to resist eating fresh chocolate chip cookies gave up on difficult puzzles much faster than those who didn't. Resisting the cookie left them with no energy for the challenge that followed. Because every choice carries this identical metabolic cost, navigating a morning of trivial office politics can leave you unable to make a critical, high-stakes decision by mid-afternoon. Even professionals whose entire job is making impartial, high-stakes rulings are susceptible. A famous study analyzed over 1,000 rulings from parole boards in Israel. At the start of a session, judges granted parole about 65% of the time, but as the session dragged on, that rate plummeted. Right before a scheduled break, the approval rate dropped to nearly zero. The severity of the crime didn't matter. The only variable that predicted the outcome was how much time had passed since the judge's last meal. After a break, the approval rate spiked back to its original high, proving that rest and glucose physically reset the brain's capacity. When your battery hits zero, your brain enters a failure mode. You become impulsive, favoring the hot system of immediate rewards and erratic choices that ignore long-term consequences. Or you simply avoid deciding altogether. By defaulting to the status quo, like a judge denying parole, your brain avoids the mental load of weighing a difficult case. In this state, your brain aggressively prioritizes its own biological relief. It will choose whichever path requires the least amount of remaining energy. This is a biological limit. You cannot simply wish your way into having more mental energy, and while rest helps, it is only a temporary fix for a recurring problem. The most effective way to manage this is to lower the total volume of choices you encounter every day. This is why habits are so powerful. While complex analysis requires an investment from your internal reserves, psychologists found that rote execution requires almost none. By turning a task into a routine, you remove the burden of debating the risks and benefits every single time. A task that is locked into a fixed, unchanging routine, like cleaning your equipment the same way after every call, is a task that no longer drains your battery. It becomes automated. People who maintain high-quality judgment don't necessarily have more willpower. They have simply designed their circumstances to minimize the amount of willpower they need to use. You can start by triaging your mental energy. Automate your lowest-stakes choices by wearing a similar outfit or eating the same lunch. It sounds boring, but it preserves your resources for everything else. This is why leaders like Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit every day. He wasn't just creating a brand, he was eliminating a decision. Barack Obama followed the same logic, sticking to gray or blue suits to ensure he wasn't wasting energy on his wardrobe while handling the presidency. Once the trivial choices are automated, take your high-stakes work. the difficult conversations and strategic planning, and move them to the first 2 hours of your day when your reserves are at their peak. Professional excellence is a product of this calculated efficiency. By stripping away the choices that don't matter, you ensure you have the focus left for field diagnoses, emergency calls, and the complex human interactions your job requires.